morning, everybody. Welcome to Friends Church. I was just on a week of holidays. We drove up to Manitoba, where my dad and my sister and her family live. And it was a bit strange. My dad's 82. He was married when he was, very young. Moved right from living with his parents to living with my mom. They were together for 50 years. It's incredible, huh? Unfortunately, my mom died of cancer about 10 years ago. And during that first year, my dad didn't do very well. But he met somebody, and he got remarried again. And so the last 8 years, he's not been alone, but that marriage ended a couple months ago. He comes home to an empty apartment, alone. He's not doing that well with it. The loneliness of it. Physically, he's, I was going to say okay, mildly okay. At 82, is anyone okay? A couple new knees, bionic. I think he's had 30-something surgeries in his life. Got cancer last year, same as my mom. None of that's bothering him. It's the loneliness. Had coffee with a friend the other day. We were chatting away. He got a new job about a year ago. He's like, I have less stress and more job security than I've had in I don't know how long. And I'm dying. Like, what's going on? He's like, our team's all over the country. We Zoom in once a week. And I sit in my house alone every day. I'm lonely. I was chatting with a couple. She actually was a person from a partnership that had ended. I said, why did it end? She said, I saw my partner every day, but I didn't feel seen. And the loneliness was so bad I couldn't take it anymore. I don't know where you sit with loneliness, but it's all over the world right now, isn't it? I'm going to make a crazy transition. I'm going to come back to loneliness, don't worry. Late 70s, early 80s, a guy named Alexander wanted to figure out what would happen if you gave people access to hard drugs. This will tie to loneliness, I swear to you. So before we had ethics committees and stuff like that, what you did is to test whether or not, or what would happen if you give people access to hard drugs like cocaine and heroin, what you do is you hop up a bunch of rats on hard drugs. Because that's okay somehow? Again, before the ethics committee. So what he did is, he did this. Can you throw up the rat experiment picture for me? He put rats in a cage by themselves. And he gave them 2 bottles. Like, those little bottles with a little straw they can drink from. One's water, all good. The other one's water laced with heroin. Do you ever think, what are scientists thinking when they're coming up with these experiments? You masochistic SOB. Okay, anyways. What they found was over a very short period of time, the mouse would prefer the water laced with heroin. And almost to a rat, they would become uncontrolled. And they would drink the water laced with heroin until they killed themselves. Again, put aside the brutality of that. What the researchers surmised from this experiment was, if you give a species access to hard drugs, they will just consume it until they die. And for a long time, that's what we thought, until Alexander one day went, I don't know, maybe he had a moment of clarity. I picture him at a bar with like a dark pint of beer, and one day he's like drinking his little smoke. Wait a second here. Maybe the conclusion we made was a bit hasty. So somehow he got more funding to hop up rats on drugs. And what he did is he built what he called Rat Park. It was 200 times bigger than the original rat experiment. Can you throw the picture for me? In rat world, that's like super cool. That's like luxury. He filled it with balls and like stuff to play with, and like they could run around, exercise wheels. Thank goodness, because man, you can die from that. Anything that rats wanted, they had it, including other rats. Then he put a water bottle with water in it, and he put a water bottle laced with heroin in it. And they noted what the rats wanted to do. Can anyone guess what happened? The rats played, they like wrestled, they had sex, they had like the biggest blast of their lives. And guess which one they didn't drink from? The water laced with heroin. They didn't seem to care. They were having so much fun. Their lives were so fulfilled, their lives were so good that they literally didn't care about the water laced with heroin. Well, actually, it was even worse. I'm not sure why he did this, but he had another cage, like one of those rat cages ones, where he had a rat hopped up on heroin. And he took it out of there while it was addicted to heroin, and he dropped it in Rat Park with all the other rats. Guess what happened? Within days, that rat couldn't care less about the heroin. It drank water. It played. It wrestled, had sex. The experimenters went, wait a second. We said if you give a species access to hard drugs, they will use it uncontrollably. But what they realized is, no. If you take a social species and you stick them alone in a little cage, they would rather drink themselves to death than live that way. Folks, we are a social species, just like rats. Isolation is hard on us. Okay, so many of you are thinking right now, wait, Vince, what do you, like, come on. I like my alone time. People are annoying, right? In the same time that Alexander was hopping rats up on heroin, another guy named Balby was equally sadistic. He was taking little babies, pre-verbal. He'd have them, and it was primarily with their moms at this time, but he'd have them with their mom in a room with like a one-way mirror glass. And the researchers would look through the glass at the families. So mom and child's playing, they're like having a great time, kids laughing, whatever moms do. And then they flashed a light, and what happened is the mom had to just put the child down and walk out of the room. There's a couple experiments. Sometimes they had a stranger in there. Sometimes they had them completely alone. Can you imagine what happened? The interesting thing wasn't what happened then, although I'm going to come back to that. The interesting thing was what happened when they brought the mother back in after a few minutes. The first group. The first group started off crying when the mother left, of course, right? A small baby left alone in a room where they don't know anyone, like they're not happy. We can actually, again, I'm not sure how they did this, but you can measure how stressed out a kid is even before they have words. You check their blood and their cortisol levels are through the roof. All the kids, when their mom left, redlining on cortisol. They're stressed. The first group of kids, they're freaking out. Their mom leaves, they're screaming, crying, blah, blah, blah. Their mom comes in, the kid goes running out like, Mom, jumps into their arms, and the mom's like doing the mom thing where I don't actually know what they do, but that magic thing where you pet them and you bounce them and you like make little sounds. You know what I'm talking about? That. And very quickly, the child would calm down. It was incredible. The researchers said this kids, they recovered easily from being alone. First group. Second group. Same thing. make them alone. Kids started to freak out, right? Crying, so upset, so scared. There's cortisol levels through the roof. But when mom came back in, the kid went to mom, but something different happened. Instead of the mom doing the bouncy patty thing with the little soothing voice with the baby talk, the kid was having none of it. It was like the kid was pushing the mom away and just screaming, and it would not calm down. It was almost like the pain of being alone was so bad that they just couldn't even recover from it. Researchers said they felt so much pain from being alone, they were inconsolable. Third group, parents leave, cortisol spikes. They don't cry. The kids get quiet, start playing with their toys. A couple minutes later, the researchers send mom back in. Kid didn't even notice the mom was there. Ignored the mom. The mom tried the picky up, bouncy baby talk thing. The kid was just like, it's like, no. What researchers realized is this group, you throw up how I worded it, felt the pain of being alone, but hid behind their own soothing mechanism. You see, rats, who are also a social species, when you make them or put them alone, they will drink themselves to death. Humans, we created a new system above it called our attachment system. Part of it is to handle being alone. Rats, it's pretty straightforward, right? I'm alone, try and kill myself. Humans, we're trickier. We have ways to kind of cope, hide, manage the feelings of being alone. Here's the really crazy part. When the researchers followed up on these people, and in fact, later researchers, Tatkin and a few others, they realized that how you reacted as a child, can you throw up the full list for me? How you reacted as a child is how you react as an adult. Don't put up your hands, but anybody find themselves hiding at home often? People are kind of annoying and scared. I can just calm myself down as long as I'm by myself. I'm not going to put up my hand, but I've worked my ass off on this. And still, when I get to a certain level, I'm like, babe, I got to be by myself. Because I can't calm down any other way. I never learned how to do it in relationship. So I need to be alone. And yet, being alone feels lonely, and I'm a part of a social species, so I have this push-pull where I'm like, okay, but I'm alone, but I want people around, but I don't like people because they're scary, but I'm alone, and drink. Where's that bottle laced with heroin? Another group of y'all, don't put up your hands. You're the inconsolable group. Being alone is so painful to you. And you would think that if that was the case inside your mind, you would be like, oh, I'm the most social person in the world. But oftentimes, that's not what happens. Being with people is so important, and feeling alone is so painful that you're like, if I go and hang out with my friends and then I get a whiff that maybe they're not happy with me, I start to think, well, what if they leave? What if they don't like me? What if? And you're like, well, I can't deal with them just leaving me, so I'm going to leave them first because I can deal with it on my own terms. I'm going to sit at home and I'll be fine. Where's that bottle with heroin again? We call it pre-leaving. Leaving on my own terms, because if I can choose to be alone, maybe I can handle it, because people matter so much to me. The third group, I hate y'all, because you're just fine. You can be alone, you can calm down, you can be with people, you can calm down. You guys suck, and it's only because I'm jealous. You see, all of this in a way is dealing with aloneness, loneliness. And yet, we are a social species. I read accounts of humans put in alone in solitary confinement. One guy was in solitary confinement for 22 years. He saw guards now and again. He could hear voices from other inmates, but he was alone. He said for a time he would think of ways that would be less painful than being alone. Like if the judge, when he sentenced him, said, hey, we're going to cut you into pieces and kill you. He's like, I would have chosen that over being alone. If they would have said, we're going to burn you alive, you have a choice. We're going to burn you alive or you're going to be alone for 22 years. He's like, I would have taken burn alive like that. What, 3 minutes and I'm dead? Done. Being alone is hard on us. Rat cage is hard on us. There's this famous line from Jesus. It's called the Great Commission if you're a biblical nerd or you grew up in Sunday school. It says this. Can you throw it for me, Amber? Go into all the world and proclaim the good news to the whole creation. Now, some of you are going to say, just 1 second. If you're not a Bible nerd, talk amongst yourselves for a quick second here. Just let me jump in for a minute. Some of you are going, wait a second, Klaus, and that's not how you translate it. This is actually a translation from the New Revised Standard Version, updated edition. The most accurate textual translation we have. If you disagree, if you're a King Jamer, beers, we'll talk. You're expecting it to say, go into all the world and preach the gospel. That word translated good news is actually the Greek word euangelion. In Christian traditions, that word has become something more. When you say gospel, it's what your tradition said you need to believe, how you needed to behave, what prayer you needed to say, and in what order. But actually the word euangelion, the more, how do I say this? The more common definition of that word is good news. If I call you, Nicole, and say, hey, you had a lottery ticket, it's a winning ticket, you guys just won $10 million. That's good news, that's euangelion. If I told you, Peter, that your sports team, whichever one, I can never figure this out, but some random sports team whose jersey he's wearing, won whatever game that we're talking about that's important, that's euangelion, right? Good news. I'm going to talk a lot more about this word next week. But before your mind kind of goes into this place of going, no, this is about proselytizing, this is about preaching, this is about going into the world, this is about missionary stuff, pause for a second. What if we take this from saying this is the great commandment, or the great commission, commandment, and said the great wisdom? Now, if we are a social species, which I think we are, layered on top of that is a whole bunch of attachment to hide all that business and to deal with it, right? The pre-leaving, the being alone, all that nonsense, not nonsense, coping strategies. What is the antidote to the loneliness that many of us feel? Could it be right there? Go into all the world. That verb, to go out into the world. Instead of a commandment from Jesus, what if that's wisdom? What if it's, we are a social species. Sitting at home looking at social media is not going to cut it. The odd Zoom call to our friends across the way or our colleagues, not going to cut it. We need to go out into the world. I want to talk to two groups of people. There's some of us here today. Our lives are decent. Stress is manageable. Our relationships are decent to good. We have capacity. What could it mean for us to go out into the world? Maybe it's the very thing Kyla said. I have people who reach out to me to check in. Somebody made the decision to go out of their world that's fine, that's going well, and took water to another human being saying, hey, haven't heard from you in a while. You okay? Hey, let's grab a coffee. Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, we're having this family dinner, and I know you're not technically family, but I'd love you to come out. We're doing this thing. Be a part of it. Jerry, my coach for this message, basically the bionic man. Double lung transplant. They cut him in half, folded him. I experienced, was it over a table? Did they fold you in half so they can get at your lungs easier? Your back's I'm killing it at the end. They pulled out his lungs, stuffed a new set in there, sewed it all up, sewed him back together, and he's alive. Yay! Consequently, when they give you a double lung transplant, life isn't easy after that. I know everyone thinks, oh, he's running marathons. Not really. So me and Jerry have a rule. When you go to the hospital, you have to text me. Not regular, we had to negotiate this, because if it's just for a regular checkup, those are weekly, so I don't get texts every week. But if you have to go for emergency, you text me. So I got a text one day. Hey, Vince, Peter Lougheed. Gone through the emergency, they've admitted me, it's that bad. It's oh, dude. So I'm looking, I'm at home, and I'm looking, I'm okay, I think I can be there in about half an hour. And he texts me back, don't worry about it. Andy, one of the members of our community, is here already. Do you know the number of times people beat me to see Jerry at the emergency room? One of the times it was Richard from our community. Brought a charging cord. Just so you know. Hey, Jerry, why don't you have a go bag for hospitals? It feels like you go that much. You should it should be in your car with everything, your pajamas, your favorite book. Why did you miss a charging? Was it, Jerry doesn't know. Richard saw him. Said, hey, what do you need? And he was there in minutes. They went out to Jerry and said, you do not need to be in this hospital room alone. Isn't that beautiful? The core story of Friends Churches, we want to inspire you to a healthy spirituality that takes water. When we talk about the core story, it's this idea of there's a well in our lives, our spiritual well. And for whatever reason, the landowner left, and we were left in charge of the well, and we got freaked out, and so we put walls around the well to say, no, don't let anyone else have it. And the Friends Church story is to say, we're trying to inspire you to take those walls away. When we tell this story, the son comes and grabs a bucket and sticks it in the well and goes out into the world. Doesn't even wait. It's not well, if you're lonely, come on over. Call me if you're struggling, right? No, he goes out into the world and brings water. What does it look like for each one of us to go out into our world and care for those who are lonely? That one's got me rattled lately. There's another group of you. You're lonely. You hide it under attachment. I'm fine by myself. I know that one. People are scary. They just leave me and I can't handle it. Someone's going to be bumming. I get it. But you're lonely. Your life doesn't look the way you'd hoped. You're a rat in a cage. You might be with someone else. There might be people around you. But when you choose between the water bottle and the water bottle laced with heroin, you're like, if this is how I have to live, what if we see Jesus' wisdom as the antidote to your loneliness? To go out into the world. This is the part where you give me every excuse why you're not going to do that. And yet, we are a social species. It doesn't matter how much attachment we have to try and manage it, pretend it's not there. We do not seem to do well alone. You stick us in a cage by ourselves. It is not good. What does it look like to heed Jesus' wisdom? To go out into the world around you. For some of you, maybe it's again, to not give up. My dad's 82. Crazy lonely. He has no skills on how to deal with it, so I've been trying to teach him, how do you go out into the world? Right now, it's fresh. He's only been divorced for a couple months, so people are still reaching out to him. You know when things are new? I bet you remember this, Jerry, when you're first diagnosed, everyone's there, and after like 13 years of it, people are like, oh, you're still sick? I forgot. Right now, it's a bit easier for my dad, but even that's starting to fall off. You know what he did? He switched churches so he could go out to a church once a week. Scheduled. Sundays, I go to church. He had some people there that he knew. He sits with them so he doesn't feel alone. He goes out into his world. He's got this group. There's a couple groups. One of them, I think this one's maybe over, still going. I don't know. Call my dad, you can find out. They call it Romeo. Retired old men eating out. Bunch of old farts sitting there telling them, I'm sure, the same stories they've told 100,000 times. But it's something they do, and it's like every week they go and they do this. Or maybe it's every 2 weeks. I don't know. Again, details. He's got another one where he goes to this small town. Anyone heard of Bothwell cheese? New Bothwell cheese? Yeah. In Manitoba, it's like the lowest of the low cheese. It's made just outside of Niverville. My dad goes to that area to eat once a week. So this weird diner that only cooks once a week. I don't actually understand how it works. But for my dad, it's a ritual. He has to get up, put on his clothes, get in his car, and go into the world. Without that, I don't think my dad will last very long. He was the group who doesn't do well alone. Him and my mom did really well together. Without her, he's not doing well. And so every day, he wakes up and makes the decision to go out into the world. Or not. What does it look like for you to go into your world today? Are you the one who's alone and needs to go out? Are you the one who's got capacity and take water to those who need you? Could it be that the Great Commission wasn't so much about proselytizing as it was an antidote to loneliness? A piece of wisdom that said, we are a social species, and regardless of attachment, this is the way we heal. Amen? Okay. Here's the deal. I'm going to get him to turn on some music. We're going to cut off the recording. For all of you who are at home, please don't leave your couch. I know you're like, oh, I got to get my to-do list. No, stop. The service is still happening. I got another 11 minutes. You can't leave just yet. If you're listening on podcast, that's fine. Wherever you are, 11 minutes. Just be. If you have an attachment system like mine, this is freaky. I get it. Don't talk to anyone because they're freaky. But just be here. Feel someone next to you. If you're social, grab a coffee. Now, I'm not going to be sadistic. I'm going to let you move around, so I'm not going to force you to sit here for 11 minutes because that's just mean. Grab a coffee, move around, but if you can, be here in this moment. Feel your connection to the people around you. Reach out if you need to. Go out into the world. If you're a person who has capacity, smile at somebody. Say hi. If you're a person who's lonely right now, just receive it as an act of spirituality. Okay, service is over. Hit the music. We'll talk to you guys later.